today at Sutton's ground to discuss the latest on the 3G situation. Paul Doswell and Oliver Ash from 3G for Us, who are looking to hopefully arrange a conference to push the claims for the Football League. Can you just outline your ideas?
Yes, that's right. We felt it was the time to sort of take action and push the whole 3G cause again. It's gone a little bit quiet. The FA have taken their foot off the pedal. The EFL haven't put it back on the agenda. And 3G remains such a good cause for football in general. There's now every chance that a club from the National League is going to be knocking on the door of the Football League in the next season or so. Sutton and Bromley are top of the table at the moment. So it really is back on the agenda, and it would be a great show of leadership and intelligence by the FA and by the EFL to grasp this issue now and deal with it up front rather than wait for a crisis or problem to rise at the end of the season. So that's why we've taken a step together with Paul at Sutton and Bromley, the three clubs playing on 3G, to go public now and restate the arguments in favour of 3G pitches and how much good they can do to clubs.
Why has the issue gone quiet, do you feel?
Well, I think perhaps it's gone quiet because, well, there's a number of reasons. One of them is that Greg Dyke was a great champion of 3G and he's left the FA at the beginning of last year. Another is that the Football League, under pressure from the PFA and the League Managers Association, has also come out with reasons why 3G shouldn't be allowed in the EFL. And another one is that the National League doesn't press the issue of 3G because it's concerned it might upset their interest in achieving an extra promotion place for the National League. So there's a number of issues, but the arguments remain why 3G is such a beneficial surface for clubs, whether they're smaller grassroots clubs or professional clubs. It's a tremendous business model. It can help clubs in loads of different ways, and it can bring supporters and communities back into football clubs. So the arguments are still there, and we, as clubs, as 3G for Us, need to be pushing them until our cause is won.
The question is, will you get the conference? You've called for it. Do you feel you will get it?
Well, we'll find out, won't we, in the next few days, few weeks, but we'll keep the pressure up. We know the arguments are on our side. That was the case 3 or 4 years ago when we persuaded the football conference, as it was then, to accept 3G in its competition. The arguments are still on our side. Virtually every other footballing nation in Europe allows 3G at first or second professional division level. Why is England always there on its own, doing things differently, and in this case not doing things any better?
What are the chances of getting into the Football League then, do you feel, if you can get another vote?
I think it's inevitable that it will happen sooner or later. The reason for campaigning in this way now is to get it done in a reflective and intelligent way now, rather than leave it to some crisis which occurs when a 3G club finds it's promotable and gets into some legal dispute with the FA and the Football League about what happens next.
Is a legal dispute, is that inevitable, or would clubs sort of rip it up and say, look, we are going to have to put the grass down because those are the rules?
Well, I think talking about from Sutton's perspective, we took our lead from Maidstone. We looked at their business model and realised that it could work for us. It's been a fantastic facility. It's a great decision that the club made, and from our perspective, we won't be prepared to stop 40 of our youth teams from playing here. Now we've got 3 or 4 ladies teams. We've got 2 fantastic disabled teams that are playing here as well, and it's an inclusive facility. And whilst the first team is very important, I think the bigger part of the football clubs has become more important. So from our point of view, it's very, very important, as Oliver's just said, that this issue gets pushed. There's many teams in League 2 that are drowning in debt as well. That's the other thing. And if they had the same facility as ourselves, Maidstone and now Bromley have got, it would actually mean they haven't got to look after one person financially propping up the club. And when that person leaves, the clubs always find it very hard financially to keep going. And this is a business model that works. Young people now are brought up playing on this surface as well. If it's good enough for Celtic and Rangers to be playing on every other week, then it's got to be good enough for League 2 and League 1. And we accept that after League 1 that grass pitches are at a good enough level. But I think if you saw some of the grass pitches last season played in League 2, certainly at Newport County's ground, they weren't fit for purpose. So we do find it difficult as well. Some of the accusations thrown at 3G surface, which every player that plays on it is happy with it. And then you go and watch the League Two highlight programme and see some of the pitches that they were playing on. So for us, I think we have to, as Oliver said, make the decisions now. I think we have to be reflective now, because when it comes to the crunch, it will happen eventually. It may not be this season, but at some point it's going to happen. And as Oliver said, I think all of us who've got this facility will fight until the death to make sure that we maintain it.
What are clubs scared of then, Paul, do you feel?
Change. And that's the biggest problem in life, is that very few people like change. And if I'm being honest, my assistant manager and head coach Ian Baird is from the old school, played for Leeds United so many times, and he was very sceptical of it. And I've got to say, within about a week of him seeing the surface down and training on it, he was purring about it. So if people give it a chance, they'll see a fantastic game of football here today as well. I remember 3 years ago, Bruce, our chairman, I don't think we had a game for 7 weeks because the pitch was being called off every single time, and it got to the point in the end where, for such a fantastically well-run club as Sutton is, even we were struggling for cash flow. So it's inevitable, that's for sure, and I think we'll look like dinosaurs in 15, 20 years' time, because the majority of clubs at our level and beyond will have a 3G surface, and they're so good now. People keep talking about the Luton surface and the Oldham surface, and you get a fantastic playing surface here, and I've got to say that our injuries with an older squad as well have been next to none. So injuries wise as well, I think it's helped our football club. So I think it's got to happen.
3G had plenty of exposure during the FA Cup run last year. Arsenal and Leeds came along. What did those clubs say about the 3G?
Well, that's really been my point. In fact, we played Wimbledon here, we played Cheltenham, we played Leeds United, and we played Arsenal. And there was no sour grapes from any of those clubs. Nobody felt that they were up against it. And the ultimate, again, if you look at both clubs, is that we actually do just as well away from home as at home sometimes. Our record, it's not the advantage that people make it out to be. I think both teams can equally play on grass or artificial grass. So the reaction in the main from referees as well, that's important. The referees have been very good with us. But you ask opposition players and they actually enjoy playing on it.
Yep. Oliver, just finally, I think the double relegation scares a few people when they read that. Could that ever be enforced, you feel?
Well, that's the rule at the moment. I mean, we've got this rule in the National League, which was brought in before I joined the National League, and it's a subject of discussion virtually every meeting that we have. And by an interesting sort of coincidence, I'm now chairman of the Rules Committee on the National League, a bit like the poacher being in charge of the animal enclosure. But it is a rule that is probably unenforceable, because to penalise a club that has won promotion fair and square on a Champions League quality pitch by threatening to relegate them 2 divisions, it would be, it's a sort of rule you have to go along with at the moment. But if we were in the happy position of being promotable at the end of the season, we will certainly scratch our heads very seriously before ripping up a pitch, perhaps only for 1 season. It's total madness.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.